Good day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the interweb. Please lend me your ears, because I got another corny song speeding your way coming right up. You get it? See what I did? Corny? Ears? Yeah? No? Yeah. Yeah, not my finest moment. My name is Mike. I am the primary songwriter for Altinum Music, and today we're adding another installment to my what I like to call behind the music, where I share with you my inspirations, my motivations, the stories behind some of my songs, as a way to share myself with you, and so you can understand the songs a little better. But before we get started, just a little introduction. If you're a songwriter, producer, a record label in need of a original composition, please visit my website, www.altinummusic.com. There you will find a catalog of original compositions brought to you in its rawest format, so you, as the artist, a record label, or a producer, can shape it to your intended vision as you see fit. Once again, that's www.altinummusic.com. And with that, let's begin. Today's song is called Belong. A couple of years ago, I was traveling at the airport, and I just remember being close to my gate and sitting down waiting for my flight. I look to my right a little bit, and I see an elderly lady. She was on a wheelchair, and she had to be in her late 80s, probably, maybe mid 80s, early 90s at oldest, but enough to where she was in need of the wheelchair. Sharp as a whip, her mind was super sharp. About a minute and a half later or so, I see this older gentleman as well, around the same age, shuffling towards her. On his left hand, he had a cup of coffee. On his right hand, he had another cup of coffee. And underneath his armpit, he had sort of like a little baggie where he was holding it with pressure. But it was probably some sort of pastry, a bagel, some sort of breakfast pastry of some sort. And I just looked at him. Him being an older gentleman, my first reaction was to get up and try to help him. So I went over there. He was probably about 10 feet away from me. I went over there and said, "Can I help you with that?" And he smiled and he said, "Sure." So I grabbed his two cups for him, and he grabbed his pastry or whatever, and not surprisingly, he just walked 3-4 feet towards the elderly lady, and he sat down, and I gave it to him. And just as I was giving his coffee back to him, he dropped the napkin. I picked it up for him, and somehow we just started talking between the two and myself. We started talking, and small talk at first. Where you from? Where you headed to? How you doing today? And I don't know, something in the back of my mind just wanted to ask, how long have you guys been married? And they both had a kind of a very innocent but bright smile, where they kind of looked at me both at the same time. I guess they get that question quite a bit. But they said, "We've been married over 60 years." And in my mind, I was just blown away. I was like, 60 years? Wow, that's pretty insane. My parents were married over 40, but 60, wow. And then one question led to another, and I said, "So how did you guys meet? How did you know that you guys were meant to be together this whole time? How did you know that you guys would last this long? What's the secret to your marriage?" And the gentleman, along with the lady, really took the time to break things down for us. I guess they really enjoyed telling stories just as I do, and I really enjoy hearing them. But essentially, they met in elementary school, and from the start, they were like best friends. When they met, they didn't know that they only lived 3 blocks away, but after they found out, they spent every waking moment together. They were best friends all through elementary school, and then junior high, and then in high school they were best friends. And during high school they kind of, sort of, not necessarily went separate ways, but they were dating people, and so they didn't know any better. But they still kept their friendship. They were still best friends in a platonic kind of way, while they were dating other people. But secretly, the elderly lady, I'll call her Jane, just for sake of privacy. Jane was starting to develop feelings for him, but he was too scared to say anything because she didn't want to make it awkward. She didn't want to risk the friendship. And I'll call the gentleman John. And John just had no clue. He was just too busy dating other girls and whatnot. And then college happened. They went their separate ways. And John got his heart broken a few times while he was in college. And somewhere in the late to middle college, they kind of discovered that they were meant to be together. She had been holding those feelings in. John had discovered that the only woman in his life that he got along well with, so well, and just understood and knew, was Jane. And so he realized what was going on in his mind, and his heart changed. Although they were in separate colleges, they still hung out on the weekends a lot, and they were always together in the holidays and whatnot. And so the distance was only an hour and a half driving, so it wasn't that bad. And then later on, John realized that his heart belonged to one person because he understood her and she understood him. And they've been together for so long that they really just belonged. And so John, one day, just out of the blue, confessed his feelings for Jane. And Jane apparently started crying and realized, or she already always knew, but she really was happy that it was coming true. They graduated college. They got married. They moved around quite a bit. John was a engineer, water engineer, whatever that means. If everybody knows, please leave a comment on what that is. So when I asked him, what is the secret to your long marriage? What is it that kept you guys together for so long? And 3 kids later, and a whole slew of experiences. And of course, John laughingly said, "Oh, I just have to keep her happy. If my wife is happy, then everything is happy." And we both laughed at that. But Jane had something else to say that really stood out to me, which was, she said to me, as long as we could trust each other and respect each other, that's all you need, because everything else falls into line. As long as we can trust each other and respect each other, we'll find a way to make it work. You don't always have to like each other. You don't always have to be each other's favorite person. But if you trust each other and respect each other, it'll all work out. Love will always be there. You may not sometimes like the person. God knows how many fights they've been in. Life throws a lot of ups and downs, failed businesses, not liking the person for weeks at a time sometimes. But deep inside, you know that you're supposed to be with that person. Deep inside, you know that that person belongs to you and you belong to them. As corny as this sounds, John ended with, I know you've heard this before from a lot of other people, but for me, it's the truth when I say that I would rather be miserable with Jane than ever so happy with anybody else. That's how much he feels that he belongs to her. And that really moved me. It really made me think. I thought about my parents and how long they've been together and the ups and downs that they've gone through, but they never lost each other because they always respected each other. They always trusted each other. And I think that goes a long way in being able to say that you guys belong together, that that person belongs to me and I belong to them, without any question, without any doubt. So that's the story behind Belong. I hope you enjoyed that story. I hope you take a moment to listen. And if you like this content, if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, please subscribe, leave a comment, and help us change the world one song at a time. We'll see you on the next one. I wonder if that corny joke would work better in Nebraska or Iowa. It's been a long, long time walking this narrow straight line, praying every night that you'd be mine, waiting patiently. The loneliness can be deafening. I don't know where I'm even standing. Ran out of tears and now I'm laughing with a broken smile. And nothing's really worth it without you next to me. 'Cause I belong to you now, and you belong to me. Take me back where it started. Being next to you is all I wanted. Sitting down just all broken hearted. Turn on the radio. Looking back, I feel so lucky. You stole my heart, you had the right key. I found your love and now I'm happy. Together let's grow. And nothing's really worth it without you next to me. 'Cause I belong to you now. You belong to me. Let me be the one to wipe away your tears. 'Cause I wanna learn to love you better through the years. 'Cause nothing's really worth it without you next to me. 'Cause I belong to you now. You belong to me. I belong to you now. And you belong